Making sure a baby gets enough sleep can be one of the biggest obstacles a new parent faces. April's issue of American Baby magazine has an age-by-age guide that will have your baby nodding off in no time. And for more now, we're joined by Jessica Hartshorn, Senior Lifestyle Editor for American Baby. Good morning.
Good morning.
The sleep issue is a big one because, and probably if people are watching this show, it's impacting them. But why is it so crucial for babies to get enough sleep?
Well, sleep is definitely when they do their growing, right? And when they sort of reset, and rest is just vitally important to an infant's health. Now, when you have a newborn, they're sleeping all the time, around the clock. The thing is, they don't sleep for more than about 2 hours, and then they're not awake for more than about 2 hours. So that first 3 months is kind of like the Wild West. It's going to be brutal for you. And trying to keep up with this baby who sleep wake. What can you do? Well, you kind of train them to sleep in sort of the same place most of the time.
Okay.
Which means you don't want them sometimes falling asleep in the car seat, sometimes the stroller, sometimes your lap, sometimes the crib. Like, start to introduce the idea that mostly you're trying to sleep in the crib or the bassinet or wherever you want them to sleep eventually at night.
Is it so they get used to it in the cues?
They associate it with sleep, sure, and keeping the room a little dim. I mean, you have to live your life. You're going to have to be out and around with a sleeping baby. But, just sort of, don't be afraid, even when they're just tiny, to introducing them, this is where you sleep at night, eventually, around 3 months.
What about those noisemakers that make white noise? I mean, I know I love them.
They really help. It can just be a fan in the bathroom, or you can get an actual white noise machine or something that makes like a heartbeat sound. This is the trouble some of our readers find, is that the baby gets so dependent on it that, for instance, if it makes a heartbeat sound for 45 minutes and then it shuts itself off, the baby wakes right back up. So you really, if you're going to do white noise, you really have to commit to playing it all night long. Just an FYI.
And also in those first 3 months when they're waking up, is that because they want to eat and so you're feeding?
You're feeding them, exactly.
Constantly.
And that's around 3 months that their sleep sort of organizes so that they're sleeping more at night than during the day. Probably they're taking like 3 or 4 naps though. They're still not awake for much more than 2 or 3 hours, even in the 3 to 6 month range.
Okay.
It's between about 6 and 9 months that they really hit that like typical baby sleep, where it's a morning nap and an afternoon nap, and then a solid stretch of sleep at night.
Okay, so those naps are longer, but how long are we talking now?
They're going to be a couple hours. And the interesting thing to me is that babies are ready for that morning nap just 2 hours after they wake up. So if they wake up at 6 in the morning, at 8 in the morning, they really could be lay back down in their crib. And you want to kind of look for those sleep windows, You don't want to wait until the baby is so exhausted that they're falling asleep on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, if they start to seem tired, or that they're tired 2 hours after they wake up, lay them in the crib and let them drift themselves off to sleep, which is sleep training, which is something I was terrible at, I will admit. We have all this advice in the magazine from experts about how to sleep train your baby. They all involve some tears, because you're going to lay your baby down awake. The idea is to lay them down awake, and they teach themselves how to fall asleep. And they can really do that starting around 3 months. A lot of women wait till more like 6. You can even wait till about 9 months. And there are different ways you can stay in there and reassure them as they fall asleep, or go in every 5 minutes and check on them. If you do that, you will raise a good sleeper. It is actually a healthy way to teach babies how to sleep. I was a total chicken though, and so I would lay with my kids. Aww. And now my son is 5 and he still wants me to lay with them at night. So I'm like the horrible warning. But
now what happens as they get a little bit older? So I guess the next group would be 12 to 21 months. But you mentioned how important it is to have them sleeping as much as possible. But at that point, though,
they might drop the morning nap. The thing about dropping the morning nap as a 1-year-old is then the afternoon nap becomes longer.
Okay.
The thing I don't like to see, sometimes parents seem to brag, like, he's 2 and now he doesn't need to nap anymore. It's like, well, he kind of does. Like, it's really healthy. And sometimes when they nap during the day, they actually sleep better at night. I think it is healthy again, and you should encourage your kid to nap through age 3, really. Sometimes 4 and 5-year-olds still need to nap on the weekends. It's sometimes I still need to nap on the weekend.
Oh, I do too. I'm a big proponent of it. I love it. All right, Jessica Hartshorn, great tips. Thank you so much.
Thanks.